So for me, I will look at agriculture as a universal set, like it's all encompassing. So the crop science is a subset under agriculture. Animal science is a subset, agri-economics. So, and all these different units or departments are all tailored towards ensuring food security. So for me, venturing into crop science is because, of course, Nigeria is mostly referred to as the giant of Africa. We have we have more than 46 million hectares of arable land, and our population is more than 240 million and still counting. So, and I think the country is also one of those with a high number of individuals living below the poverty line, and there's massive food insecurity. So the passion and the desire to, make a change, at least starting from my immediate community, to see how I can bring new knowledge, new perspective to ensure that these arable lands are put into use into crop cultivation. Because of course, most of the farmers are into crop cultivation compared to animal rearing. So there's a need to, bring new knowledge, new perspective to ensure that the output that these people actually get commensurate with the effort at the end of the day. So that was a motivating factor for me to focus on crop science.
Of the Science Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Root of the Science Podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. If you are new here, welcome to the show. And if you're a regular listener, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to hit the subscribe button if you're listening on YouTube, as well as if you're listening on the audio, and spread the message, spread the video. There's somebody who really, really needs to hear this. Now, let's get into today's episode. It's reported that by 2050, Africa's population will hit 2.6 billion, nearly double today's numbers. To meet this growth, food production must increase by 70%. But with climate change, conflict, high food prices, and resource scarcity in play, that goal feels out of reach. Without bold interventions and the use of emerging technologies, Africa's agriculture system may struggle to keep up with the demands of tomorrow. In this episode, I'll be speaking with Valentine Emmanuel, a Nigerian agriculture scientist currently pursuing his master's in crop science in South Africa. His research explores the use of anaerobic wastewater in hydroponic systems. Valentine is also the founder of Farm for Us, an initiative focused on reviving Africa's dormant arable land and tackling food insecurity through sustainable farming. We'll chat about this and also the wonderful opportunity he currently has as a Mandela Rhodes Scholar. Tune in to hear about all of this amazing work that he does and so much more. Let's go. Hello, Valentine. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Anne. It's a privilege to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. I mean, for those who are unaware, we are colleagues at the same university, in the same building, with the same supervisor. So this is pretty special to have you on the show. So first things first, Emmanuel, let's let everybody else get to know. I know you, but I think this is a great opportunity for you to introduce yourself so that the listeners can get to know you. So who is Valentine? Where are you from? Where are you currently based? And just briefly, what do you do?
All right, thank you very much, Anne. It's a privilege to be finally on the Root of Science podcast. Very happy to be here.
Yes.
And yeah, as you know, my name is Valentine Emmanuel from Nigeria. I'm a current Mandela Rhodes Scholar, and I'm also a farmer. That is just the, should I say, a summary of my bio. A farmer that's passionate about integrating technology with agriculture. I'm also the founder of Farm Force, an agribusiness company in Nigeria. And I have about 6 years of experience of working with a different agri-tech company back in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Valentine. We're going to get into more details about all these many facets about you, but you introduced yourself as a farmer. So how does a young Valentine from Nigeria get interested in agriculture and then later now into crop science. So tell us that journey, that story.
I would like to put it this way. If there's this subject in mathematics that is called set, right?
Mhm.
And then you have this scenario of what is the universal set, what is a subset. So for me, I will look at agriculture as an as the universal set, like it's all encompassing. So the crop science is a subset under agriculture.
Mm,
Animal science is a subset, agri-economy. So and all these different units or departments are all tailored towards ensuring food security. So for me, venturing into crop science is because, of course, Nigeria is mostly referred to as the giant of Africa. We have we have more than 46 million hectares of arable land,
mm,
and our population is more than 240 million and still counting.
mm.
So, and I think the country is also one of those with a high number of individuals living below the poverty line, and there's massive food insecurity. So the passion and the desire to, make a change, at least starting from my immediate community, to see how I can bring new knowledge, new perspective to ensure that these arable lands are put into use into crop cultivation. Because of course, most of the farmers they are into crop cultivation compared to animal rearing. So there's a need to, bring new knowledge, new perspective to ensure that the output that these people actually get commensurate with the effort at the end of the day. So that was a motivating factor for me to focus on crop science so that we
Mm.
can bring new ways of doing things, technical know-how and the rest, because most of these farmers are mostly illiterate that are relying on a cake and peasant way of farming.
So, Valentine, I love the way that you told us a story. You came from Nigeria and you saw some of the immediate challenges and you inspired to make a change. And here you are in South Africa, currently pursuing your master's in crop science. So, please let us know more about this research and exactly what you're working on.
On the high level, my research is focused on the circular nutrient economy. And that is premised on the fact that in sub-Saharan Africa, the population is growing, of course. A lot of researchers are saying population is projected to reach close to 10 billion by 2050 and the rest.
Mm,
So, and on the side, we generate a lot of waste, either household waste, farm waste, and the rest. So,
mhm,
and you would also agree with me that when we harvest crops from the farm, we eat these crops, and then when the remains, when we pass them out as feces or urine and the rest, it gets into some of those, waste disposal medium and the rest. So it creates a gap there whereby these nutrients are not returned back to the soil, and the soil is continuously being depleted.
mm,
So this research is more of, filling that gap by ensuring that whatever is returned from the farm whatever is taken from the farm rather is taken back to the farm. That
mhm,
would help encourage sustainability. So my specific focus on this area in South Africa is the fact that, there are a lot of peri-urban settlements that the country is finding it so hard to connect to the centralized sewage treatment or waste treatment system. So the country then started piloting the decentralized model where they connect the decentralized wastewater treatment system to households, and then this household treats this waste. I mean, this DWATs or decentralized system treats this waste from the household. And at the end of the day, you can get water or what we call effluent. So,
mhm.
but the current challenge is that this effluent still does not meet the regulatory standard or disposal standard to be released into the environment because of the risk of environmental pollution, contamination, even hazard to human health. So researchers started looking at what are the alternative ways to make use of this effluent or this water that has been generated by these dewards. And one of those potential areas is in agriculture.
Mm,
So that is a bit of context to my research. So to narrow it down, bring it out a bit, I am actually focusing on how we can reuse that effluent as a source of nutrient and water in soilless cultivation, particularly the hydroponic system. So at the end of the day, we aim to achieve a system whereby we don't have to rely on fresh water, because in South Africa alone, the experience less or erratic rainfall. And then the cost of inorganic fertilizer is also going up. So if we are able to recycle these nutrients from the dewards as a source of water and nutrients, then it will reduce the cost of inorganic fertilizer and also the cost or competition for water by agriculture and other sectors in the country. Yeah.
That's so impressive, and it sounds pretty exciting. But you mentioned your study particularly involves using hydroponics, right? So
Yes.
for people who are unfamiliar, how is that different from the typical farming that maybe some of us are more familiar with?
Yeah, I think most of the, should I say, conventional style of agriculture is, oh, there's a large field where you just go cultivate your crops, the
Yes.
rain fall on them, or you irrigate manually and then get your harvest at the end of the day. But like I mentioned earlier in my response, population is growing, especially in Africa. And that population growth has also, triggered high urbanization rate. And what is the implication of urbanization? Arable lands keep decreasing at the end of the day because of new infrastructure and a lot of things that are not related to agriculture. So this keeps decreasing the hectarage in terms of available arable land. And that is where the soilless cultivation, hydroponics, is important. It's basically growing crops on water instead of soil, at the soilless media. So because what the soil does is it gives plants support and nutrients and a medium for water uptake. So if we are able to devise a different system that provide all these items mentioned, I think the crop can still grow. And that's the idea behind hydroponics. So we have the water, then we have a different medium that provides support for the plants, and then we have a medium for nutrient uptake. In that way, we are able to, at least mitigate the impact of urbanization. And it's also a way of integrating urban dwellers into agriculture. And all of us will be able to fight to achieve food security in the long run. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like such a sustainable approach as well, with the way that you're mentioning it. But I think um, I'm just thinking of someone who's like, okay, this is pretty exciting. I live in an urban area. Maybe I'm interested. Cost-wise, is it something that
Yeah.
involves a lot of costs, or is there some ways that it can be, what's the word, feasible for everyone to really, like you said, contribute in our fight to food secure, to be a food secure
Yeah.
nation, country, world?
That is a very amazing question, I must say. And it was one of the things that informed my current research methodology, I would say, because hydroponics itself is very expensive. It's very costly, the conventional type, because you need to look at the huge initial setup costs. You have your glass house or
Yes.
tunnel, and then you need to have of course, your tanks where your water and nutrient will sit, and then you are able to circulate it to the plants on a daily basis. That is capital intensive. And also, you need to think of electricity as well, because you need electricity to power those systems. And there's also pumps that are required to be able to keep the water oxygenated and ensure that this water and nutrient is being circulated on a daily basis. So for a peasant farmer and majority of African farmers, this is not feasible for them to adopt because of this initial or huge setup cost,
Yeah.
right? So I looked at that and I'm like, okay, if we want to promote hydroponics, we can devise other passive systems whereby we do not have to always rely on electricity or pumps. We can just have a containerized setup where they are able to provide those nutrients and water and create opportunity for, what is called in agriculture, especially because I'm using waste, right, in hydroponics, what we call nitrification, which happens in the presence of oxygen. That is where this nutrient, because this nutrient in your waste mostly are in organic forms, right? But plants take them in inorganic forms. So if you create that medium when nitrification has to happen, then you can use a passive system, because through nitrification, those organic nutrients get converted into inorganic forms for plants to take up. And the name of this passive system is called the Crafty Hydroponic Setup. So I learned about it from a professor emeritus at the University of Hawaii, Bernard Crafty. Then I decided to modify the system. And I think with this system that I came up with, it's very affordable for hobbies, for urban dwellers, even for rural dwellers. And with my findings so far, the yield in terms of kilogram per plant is similar to what we get from the field cultivation. So it is still a work in progress, and I believe we'll continue to improve on the system, and then it will promote adoption in the long run. So it's time for us to remove that stereotype on hydroponics being so costly and so hard to set up, I would say. Yeah, but it's something doable, and I think in the long run we can achieve it.
Yeah, that's so brilliant, Valentine. I really love that because I think sometimes we feel maybe in the developing nations that we are left out of these very innovative solutions because of costs. But then with these types of modifications or other inventions and innovations, I think we can also be part of that conversation. And it's quite interesting because I've seen your setup and it uses very basic, ingredients that any person can have. I remember there was a bucket that was there.
Yeah, the crafty buckets. Yeah.
Exactly. So some simple things, and we're going to show it as well, here so that people are aware as we are talking about. But as people can see, it's a very simple but really effective system. So that is absolutely amazing, and I wish you all of the best as you continue pursuing your studies and your research, and already some interesting findings are coming from that. But just hearing you speak, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you can tell your wealth of knowledge, like you said in the beginning in your introduction, that you've worked in the agriculture space in various different things. So can you tell us about the Farm for Us, this organization that you are also part of you are the founder of, rather?
Okay, I think if we decide to go into the whole idea before, behind Farm for Us, we can spend the next 24 hours.
Briefly then.
But I'll try as much as possible to, keep it very brief. But yeah, prior to, registering Farm for Us as a business in Nigeria, I had worked in an agribusiness sector for about 5 years prior to that time. So, and I observed that, people are doing a lot to produce food. A lot of effort is going into this production by peasant farmers. But at the end of the day, what they get, the output in terms of yield, doesn't even equate the effort they put into this production. And that keeps them in a continuous cycle of poverty because they don't even get enough to feed and even sell for profit, right? And why are we facing that problem? Because we have the land. The land is fertile. Nigeria is somewhere you can even grow crops without fertilization because there's in situ nutrients in the soil for you to grow your crops. So I sat down and I thought about the whole process. We have the land. This land mostly belongs to rural dwellers. Most of them are not into agriculture. Even those that are into it, maybe a farmer may own 10 hectares, but because the capital is not there, the technical know-how is not there, he doesn't have the strength to cultivate the whole 10 hectares. He may be cultivating 1 hectare. So that's the problem of underutilization of our land resources, right? Then on the other side, we have guys that have gone through, technical trainings, that studied agriculture in the university, or that have work experiences related to agriculture. But these guys do not have land. They do not have the capital to begin, to practice what they've learned from school.
Yeah.
That is another gap there. And then on the other end, we have the well-to-do guys in the society. They have money stocked up in their accounts, and they don't even know what to do with it, right? It's just there. They're saving it, maybe getting the 2% interest rate at the end of the year from the banks and the rest. I said, okay, why don't we create a system whereby this system will benefit the farmers that own the land, benefit the youths that have this technical know-how, this experience to engage in agriculture, and also benefit these guys that have money stocked or stacked in their account. So
Yeah.
the farm for us idea and the overall goal at the end of the day is that food is being produced for people to eat, and investors are also, or these guys are also earning returns on investment. The community are getting employed. The youth in the community are getting employed because the labor on the farm comes from this community, right? So the system in some is such that takes funds from those we call our partners. They're in the US, in Canada, in Nigeria, even in South Africa here, they have these funds and are ready to create impact. They don't have the time to engage in the actual farming. So they give us, farm for us, these funds, this capital, right? We are accountable to them, fully aware that their fund is making impact in the rural communities. Then we take these funds and lease lands from these farmers or the landowners in communities. They are already earning rents on those lands. And then we bring our technical know-how, our knowledge in agriculture to cultivate these lands, grow different staple crops at the end of the day, and even employ labor from those communities. So at the end of the day, we are able to process our harvest and sell it to other agricultural processing companies. We earn revenue, and we have a profit sharing formula that ensures that return on investment goes to these investors or partners, and profit also comes to the company. And the laborers or the workers also earn wages. So it's an all-inclusive process. And I
Wow.
believe our target is to ensure we cultivate 1 million hectares by 2050. And I'm with the support we are getting so far, it's something doable. We're enjoying a lot of support. It's not easy, but I believe we'll get there. We just take resilience and determination, and we'll get there.
Oh my
Thank you.
goodness, Valentine, that is such a brilliant idea. It's like a circle, like a loop where
Exactly.
all sort of comes back down to it. And I absolutely love that. And I think imagine if that can be replicated. I don't know, farm files can be replicated in various different parts of Africa, because there's so many people, like you said, in the diaspora or in the country itself who have money,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's a great way to get higher returns on investment. And people are always going to need to be fed. And wow, what a wonderful opportunity also for young people. There's so many of us who are getting degrees in this field and we don't know what to do with it. So, oh my goodness, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I
Mhm.
love this. And I
Yeah,
wish you all
let
of
me
the
let
best.
me add something to the point you just raised in terms of covering the whole Africa. That is as part of our long-term plan. But how do we want to do it? That is where technology now comes in, because we don't want to use a manual approach to, we cannot be in all the African countries at the same time. Of course, there are about 54 African countries. But what we intend to do is we already have our technology, our young, vibrant technology team that are coming up. And then by the time we build this, our product, we will deploy it across African countries. Of course, with the right sponsor, with the right support and everything, we'll be able to achieve it. So this system will ensure that landowners across African countries are able to sign up on this, our app or software, and indicate that they have farms or land to lease to the company in their country. Of course, we'll have our selection criteria because we look at topography, we look at different parameters to be able to accept a land for cultivation. And then on this app, we approve their lands, and then they earn money by renting their land to us. Then on this, our partners can also sign up across different African countries, like, oh, this is my country in Rwanda, in South Africa, wherever you are in Africa, to say, okay, you want to be a partner by investing your funds to ensure that our presence is felt in your country. And also at the end of the day, the app would also recruit, will be a platform for people to apply to be part of the field staff in those particular country to engage in working on those deals and the rest. While we have our, the managerial team somewhere coordinating everything happening across these countries. I think with technology is something that is doable in the long run.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Because I'm thinking about the same way that how Uber operates, for example, or Airbnb. You don't have to be in that particular space, but you can create that platform. And that sounds so innovative and very exciting, because now you're also using technology to stay abreast and to still be relevant in the future. So that's absolutely impressive. And
Thank
congratulations
you very much.
to
Thank
and
you.
um and your team who are working on the ground to to do this work. So Valentine, as we're starting to wrap up, I'm just thinking you're a student, you said you're a Mandela Rhodes Scholar as well.
Yeah.
You are a founder. How do you balance all of those very big hats that you're currently wearing simultaneously?
Wow. Yeah, that's true. It's really a lot. It's really a lot. And like you said, I'm a Mandela Rhodes Scholar as well. And it's a lot, research and the rest. But one thing I believe is if you have the right network and support system, you will win. And as a young guy, coming up on on this track, I don't have it all. So I would have to look for, who are those that are experienced in this different area? Is it research? Is it entrepreneurship? And then seek them to be my mentor. That has been a great support system so far. Even in, you mentioned that we are part of the same research group and the rest. I know a few times I've reached out to you that, how is it going? In engaging with you on such conversation, I'm already learning from your experience to help me, manage myself and manage whatever is to come along the way. And also with the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship or Mandela Rhodes Foundation thing, they are also a great support system because they teach you entrepreneurship skills, leadership skills, and how to ensure that the education you get does not just end on paper, but have real impact on people in your community. So they train us. As a matter of fact, by next week, we'll be in Cape Town for another section of the training. And then we are able to integrate these skills into whatever we are doing in our daily life. So it has been a really, really great support system. And for me, it's all about doing my checks and balance. Have a schedule for whatever you are doing. This time is for research. This time is for checking on my team at Farm for us, what's happening. This time is time to rest. Of course, you must always rest.
Yes.
So that you don't crash at the end of the day, right? So it's all about doing your checks and balance and having a schedule for whatever you are doing. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. So quickly, tell me more about the Mandela Rhodes scholarship program that you're part of. If somebody's listening, because I'm sure we've heard of it,
Yeah,
So, how does somebody who's interested, how do they get involved if they also aspire to get that type of support that you've mentioned here?
So the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship is being awarded by the Mandela Rhodes Foundation, and it's a foundation that is built by collaboration between the Rhodes Trust and the Nelson Mandela Foundation in South Africa. And it is solely built on the legacy of the former South African president, Nelson Mandela. He was a great leader in Africa during the apartheid era. So the major objective or aim of the foundation is to build exceptional leadership capacity in Africa, because the scholarship or the award is for only African citizens or African scholars. So how do they do this? They do this by identifying individuals across different African countries who has, within the limit of their available resources or their own capacity, have been able to demonstrate leadership capacity, entrepreneurial ability to reconcile, to demonstrate reconciliation. Africa is a country where there's a lot of polarization on the continent. People are separated across tribal lines, across religious lines, and the rest. So reconciliation is an effort to bring people together, regardless of our background or individual differences. So, and also people that have gone through formal education and have demonstrated high academic prowess. So, when they identify this individual, through series of screening and the rest, the top individuals that meets all the selection criteria are then awarded the scholarship. So the scholarship is awarded for you to be able to study in South Africa, to enroll for a postgraduate study, either honors degree or master's degree in South Africa, fully funded by the foundation. And the good thing is that it's not only about you studying. And why it has to be in South Africa? Because they want an integrated system where you can also learn from the South African culture, and South Africa can also benefit from you being in the country. They learn from your culture, they learn from your background, and you are also able to engage in different community services, because as a scholar with the foundation, like I said earlier, aside your postgraduate studies, you are periodically going for leadership training, entrepreneurial training, and the rest. So at the end of the day, you still get certified by the foundation that, oh, you spent 2 years in their leadership training institute at the and the rest. So all this is fully covered, your travel costs, your accommodation, your feeding, everything. All you need to do is just come in, have that determination, have that zeal, the passion to be Pan-African. Let me put it that way. So because we are building the next set of emerging leaders that are able to contribute to help Africa takes its place in the global world. Yeah. So yeah, I encourage a lot of people listening to this podcast to apply. If you know you meet all the criteria, just go to Google, search the Mandela Rhodes Foundation, and you will have all the process there for you to be able to submit a good application. And I wish you all the best on the journey. You won't regret applying. I trust. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, I've heard from you in our personal conversations, how beneficial this opportunity has been. And I'm excited to where the types of networks that you're building, the types of knowledge will take you not only, like you said, academically, but also professionally as an entrepreneur, as a leader in the space. So definitely, I hope that somebody is inspired and is motivated to apply.
Exactly.
So, last question, speaking on inspiration, you are a pretty impressive man, Valentine.
My
You
head is
know?
swelling already. Thank you for the accolade.
We call you Odogu. You are.
Ojogo is for those that makes things happen. No, it's a
Yes.
normal slang in Nigeria.
Precisely, we call you Odogu, so
Yeah.
we can see it. You are making things happen, and it's an honor even for me to watch and to get to say that I know you, and I've been so fortunate because I got to learn some things about you that I didn't know. So this was such a wonderful conversation. But as we close off, what piece of advice would you like to leave for someone who's listening, who's motivated by you, who might be in the beginning, still trying to figure it out, of where they want to find their place in this world, in science, in entrepreneurship, or just generally? Yeah.
Thank you very much for that question. And my advice will be, you don't have to have it all figured out before you venture into anything you are inspired to venture into. Because a great man, Nelson Mandela, would say that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it.
Yeah.
So if you don't have to have it figured out. The moment you have that inspiration, you have that idea and everything, go for it. And while going for it, just ensure you're on the right track. Don't do it alone. No man is an island. There are people that have gone before you on this journey. You want to be a scientist, you want to go into research, there are people that have gone ahead of you, before you. So try and create a network with these people. And of course, that is why before you're a research person, if I must say, and before you get into the research, academics and all, you need to get a supervisor. Why do you need a supervisor? This is because this person has had several years of experience in research, in academics, and the rest. So you need a mentor. You need someone to guide you on that journey. And that's why you need a supervisor and everything. So in the same vein, if you want to be a scientist or you want to be a researcher, even in entrepreneurship, look for people that have experience, people that you feel you can benefit from, and then create that network with them. Be humble on the journey, and they will be able to help you. And also, there are a lot of resources online that can help you get started, where you listen to people's story, like we are discussing on this podcast, the Roots of the Science podcast. It's an avenue for people to learn from others' experience, learn from other people's stories, and be able to, kick off on their own journey. And I also believe from this podcast, you can connect to people like us or others that have their records on this podcast and establish like a connection with them. And I'm very sure they'll be willing to help you get started on your journey. So that would be my advice. Do it afraid, but don't give up on the journey. Yeah, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that wonderful piece of advice. And you're absolutely right. Do it afraid, do it unsure. You'll stumble your way, but you'll figure it out. And like you rightfully said,
Keep
there are
going.
people who
Yeah.
are willing and wanting to help because they understand what it's like starting out. So they always want to help someone so that they can find a bit of an easier journey. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
Valentine, thank you for this wonderful conversation. I had such a great time getting to know you, getting to discuss about your work and all the amazing things that you do. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Again, Odogo, you are making things happen, and I'm excited to see things, all the things that you're gonna do, because we can see that it's gonna be pretty amazing. So thank you for taking the time to chat with me.
Thank you very much for having me on this podcast. Thank you very much, Anne. And thank you for putting this together. It's really amazing, and I'm really honored to be on this podcast. Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure. And to everyone else who's tuned in, thank you for listening to another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl and with an E. Until next time, goodbye.